Good evening and welcome. News Extra this Wednesday comes with a neat blend of pizzazz, political projections, party, people and plans for progress. In 90 minutes, we'll take you around the nation and beyond, giving you new perspectives on developing stories and developing new stories with your perspectives. Tonight, affected states get ready for supplementary elections as political parties urge members to gear up for the final push. What counts most as Nigerians count the days to census week? Word on the street for the child. The world remembers street children, and Nigerians speak on giving them more than tattered notes from car windows. Plus, the conversations on fuel subsidy and putting the nozzle on the choices. We have in-depth reports from the IMF spring meeting in Washington, D.C., as well as special reports from the agriculture and health sectors. Don't take my word for it. After all, the taste of the pudding is in the eating. I am Fatima Umar Buba. Let's set sail. The federal government is to spend more than 6 billion naira for the pavement of the third mainland bridge in Lagos. This is in consonance with Executive Order 11 signed by the President for the continued maintenance of public infrastructure. Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, made this known while briefing the press on some of the approvals given by the Federal Executive Council as its meeting this Wednesday. State House correspondent Gideon Ifade reports on this and other deliberations at the council's meeting.
And the work that we did concentrated largely on the substructure of the bridge. These are maintenance works that are critical to the structural integrity of the bridge. What we're dealing with now is different, is the driving surface and also the aesthetics.
Two memos were presented by Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, and approved by the Federal Executive Council. The first is the contract cost revision of the old Enugu-Onitsha road from Opi Junction to Anambra border in Enugu State.
The augmentation was in the sum of 17 billion and 50 million, which revised the contract sum to 48 billion 996 million 488,925 naira.
The second approval is a new contract which is for the maintenance of the pavement of the third mainland bridge. The Federal Minister of Transportation also had two memoranda approved by the Council. The memos were presented by the Minister of State for Transportation, Ademola Adegoroye.
Today, there was a memo before Council for the provision of baggage scanners at railway stations, and I'm happy to inform you that the Federal Executive Council agreed with us and has approved that contract for scanners to be installed at railway stations. So that
the minister also explains that the council approved a 10-year concession of towage services at the new Lekki Deep Sea Port and Dangote Jetty. The Minister of Mines and Steel Development and the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development also got their memos approved by the council.
Also a policy that was passed. Last week we passed a policy on mining, Nigerian Mining and Minerals and Mining Policy 2023. Today we passed on the other half of the ministry's mandate. That is the metallurgical bill for 2023 as well.
So extension service really is the main of improving our productivity to achieve food security and nutrition security in the country. The policy has been approved, and will be implementing that again along with the state government, with the local government, with NGOs. The ministry is always there and ready to assist the smallholder farmers.
Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Mohammed Mahmoud, also explains that the nation is doing well in terms of food security and the provision of security to farmers.
The other two memos had to do with provision of operational vehicles for customs.
The meeting, presided over by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, observed a minute silence in honor of late Prince Bola Ajibola, a one-time Minister of Justice and the Attorney General of the Federation. In the State House, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
Well, a report just reaching us says yet to be a certain number of people are trapped under the rubble of a 7-story building that collapsed in Banana Island, Lagos State. We'll sure keep you abreast of the situation in the course of the bulletin and other bulletins on the NTA. Now, President Muhammadu Buhari has concluded a 2-day spiritual reawakening enterprise in Medina with a guided tour of the holy sites that hold great significance in Islam. He made a strong case for futuristic as well as untainted global education on Islam. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that special prayers were held for peace, unity and prosperity of Nigeria.
It has been 2 days of intensive prayers and thanksgiving to Allah by President Muhammadu Buhari in the Mosque of the Holy Prophet Muhammad in Medina. The President and members of his delegation, comprising traditional rulers and religious leaders, observed all the prayers at Rauda, a place of immense spiritual and historical significance, where one prayer is equal in reward of 1,000 prayers elsewhere.
It is very significant being the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to come here and worship Allah and also pray for the nation and also to be grateful to the Almighty for the privilege to be the President of Nigeria for almost 8 years now, and also to be thankful to the Almighty for all the successes he has recorded within that period of time.
President Buhari and his delegation were then guided on tour of the specialized Medina Museum. It provides a comprehensive cultural overview of the Prophet, his noble manners, great morals, and flexible teachings in a distinct scientific and research-based approach. The President commended Saudi authorities for deploying latest technologies to preserve and present Islam in its true and pure image. Better understanding of the religion, away from its misconstrued teachings and perceptions, he said, is critical towards achieving global peace, harmony and progress.
The museum summarizes the entire life of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, everything about him, his family, what he used to eat, the cloth he used to wear, and everything. So it is indeed an interesting area, and one interesting aspect, everything has been digitalized. And look at even his words after the visit. He said he had never anticipated that we reached this level of technological advancement in Saudi Arabia. The first lesson we learned that Islam promotes peace. Secondly, unity. Look at how people are united, worshiping the same Almighty Allah, irrespective of where they come from.
President Buhari is scheduled to arrive Mecca in the early hours of Thursday to perform the Lesser Hajj. From Medina, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Now, the holy month of Ramadan is described by Muslim scholars as a month full of mercy and forgiveness of sins. Hakimat Aliu in this report highlights the significance of the last 10 days of Ramadan and examines how best Muslims can maximize the benefits that abound therein.
The last 10 days of the month of Ramadan, eagerly anticipated by the Muslim faithful when acts of worship gets to its peak. Islamic scholars Sheikh Kabir Adam and Tajuddin Adigun explained that it is due to its peculiarity as stated in the Quran, which was revealed in the month of Ramadan.
Allah made mention that we have revealed the Quran in the night of Laylatul Qadr, which is night of majesty, night of power.
Rasulullah has confirmed in the sound hadith that seek for
Laylatul Qadri in the last 10 days of Ramadan. In fact, he also said that seek for it in the odd nights.
In the search for the night of majesty, within the last 10 nights, Muslims are enjoined to perform itikaf, seclusion in the mosques, a tradition of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing of Allah upon him.
Muslims should endeavor, those who have the means, male and female, should go and do itikaf. And that is circulation, staying in the mosque, camping yourself for good 10 days in the mosque. You drink there, you eat there, you spend the whole night there, so that you are closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Women who are in their menstruation can wake up and offer supplications so that they can be accommodated in the ship of night of majesty. Children, their parents can wake them up and do the prayer together with them.
While intensifying midnight prayers, recitation of the Quran, supplication and other acts of worship are highly recommended by the scholars. Little wonder scholars maintain no one should be left out. In Abuja, Hakimat Ali, NTA News.
Many thanks, Hakimat. President of Turkey, Tayyip Erdogan, has joined the list of world leaders that have sent congratulatory and goodwill messages to Nigeria's president-elect Bola Tinubu. In a statement by Tunde Rahman in the office of the president-elect, President Erdogan, who in his congratulatory letter described Bola Tinubu as a brother, called for mutual cooperation and partnership that would further the friendly relationship between Turkey and Nigeria. Erdogan also underscored the importance of Nigeria as the strongest nation in the African continent, while wishing Tinubu a successful tenure of office that will usher in progress for the people of Nigeria. President Xi Jinping of China, United Kingdom Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, President of France Emmanuel Macron, Prime Minister of Israel Benjamin Netanyahu are among global leaders that have since sent goodwill messages to Bola Tinubu. In another story, Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed has called on the international media and think tank institutions to accept the outcome of the 2023 elections, particularly as it concerns the presidential polls. The minister stated this during his engagement in London to correct the skewed narrative about the Nigerian election. Anthony Forson reports.
The just concluded general elections have been the freest and most credible in Nigerian history, despite attempts by naysayers and opposition to delegitimize and discredit the election.
Despite attempts to discredit the elections, it is only fair for them to disabuse their minds from preconceived conception.
I'm proud to say that our position and explanation narrative has excited those we've spoken to. But I find two things very interesting, which is that the international community, especially the international media and think tanks, had been conditioned before the elections. They had a very strong mindset that this election will be won by one particular party. I think the activities of the Labour Party in particular on the social media, the various opinion polls which were very unrepresentative of the Nigerian situation, and the general high was this, the result, the outcome of the election took many of them by surprise. And I explained to them that, look, there's no way a presidential candidate who has no national organization, who has no grants people, can never win elections in Nigeria. When you look at the election results, only the president-elect met that criteria. Atiku Abubakar came short with 25% in 21 states, and Labour Party came very far behind. They were able They manage only 25% in 15 states, meaning that in 22 states of the federation, they were virtually unknown.
He maintained that the 2023 general elections has opened a new vista for the nation's polity.
It's precisely those surprises that makes it credible and makes it, transparent.
In London, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
Let's talk about oil and gas now. Like an unhealing sore, fuel subsidy in Nigeria has evaded several attempts at its removal. Not anymore, or so it appears, as the federal government takes a definitive stand to cut ties with subsidy, considered a conduit for draining the nation's commonwealth. Over now to Onengi Fanface with the second report in our series on the fuel subsidy narrative in Nigeria.
Fuel subsidy in Nigeria dates back to the 1970s, following the oil shock of 1973, which spiked the price of oil in the international market. In 2011, Nigeria spent more than 2 trillion naira on fuel subsidy. The figure almost doubled to 4.39 trillion naira in 2022. Despite the huge sums paid as subsidy, fuel prices remain unstable. Nigerians continue to lament the enrichment of a few individuals, the cabal, if you may. The popular demand remains: remove fuel subsidy.
So by the time it liberalizes it, where every dealer have the right and the potential to import the product and equally sell at its own capacity. Purchasers too, at the end angle, can equally decide to buy wherever angle they want to buy at any price.
Successive administrations have attempted to stop the subsidy payment. They failed. June 2023 is pegged to say good riddance to fuel subsidy in Nigeria.
This is a commitment in the petroleum industry bill. There's a provision that says that 18 months after the effectiveness of the PIA, that all petroleum products must be deregulated. That 18 months takes us to June 2023.
To cushion the likely initial effect, a World Bank loan of $800 million is secured. It will provide palliatives to 50 million Nigerians in 10 million households.
Because if people are given a little money, okay, this is the immediate direct, fine. That will be in order. But the important thing that needs to happen is that subsidy must go. And it's for us to have a holistic perspective. It's impacting negatively on manufacturing because it's competing for the same funds.
Expenses of a worker relates to his salary. I think something should be done about it. Something should be done about their augmenting their salaries.
Experts in the energy sector and even those not so lettered are for once unanimous and hopeful. Will the switch to subsidizing the rich to the not so well off achieve its goal? Time. Only time will tell. Onengi Fanface, NTA News.
Short time will tell, but we have joining me in the studio to speak more on the subsidy issue, an oil and gas expert, Chijuki Amonu. You're welcome to News Extra, Chijuki.
Thank you so much for having me.
Good to have you.
Thank you.
Well, there's a sense of certainty that the federal government will finally part ways with subsidy, and palliative measures, like we've heard from the report, are part of this package. Now, what are your thoughts on the best opportunities for investment of the World Bank loan to cushion the impact of the subsidy removal on Nigerians?
That's a very good question, and I'm happy to share what a lot of people consider to be a sustainable solution to the issue of providing a product that will cushion Nigerians from the impact of fuel subsidy removal. So for the solution to be effective, it needs to be seen as a product and a service. Now, for it to be seen as a product, it needs to meet the requirements of sophisticated international lenders and investors, which is most likely where the money is going to come from. The criteria for accessing that investment needs to be identified. That criteria has to be met. And we think that the product that meets or probably exceeds the expectations of international investors is natural gas, right? And as a service, because Nigerians expect the government to allow them to enjoy the benefit of residing in the country with the largest gas reserve in Africa. So the first step would be, how do we ensure that this product can be accessible to Nigerians such that with the removal of fuel subsidy, the impact can be felt in
Are you talking about the reach now? How can the 50 million Nigerians and then 10 million households receive this?
Indeed.
Is that what you're trying to say?
Indeed, it's one of the issues that has to be addressed.
Okay.
And then how that problem can be solved is the platform of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, which has over 30,000 existing filling stations across the country, probably offers the best option in terms of ensuring that this product reaches every Nigerian no matter where they are, right? In addition to this as well, the issue of sourcing gas to support this. So we all know that Nigeria flares a lot of gas, and people often wonder, why do we flare this valuable commodity, right? So the problem with taking gas from the field and delivering it to your houses, delivering it to your vehicles, is how will you be able to take that gas and turn it into something that you can use, right?
Yeah.
If you take into consideration a very sad fact that Nigeria is the poverty capital of the world. So Nigerians probably do not have the means to convert their keke, to convert their vehicles, to convert their trucks to run on fuel.
Okay.
So most countries that have provided palliatives to fuel subsidy removal often move their populations to natural gas as the next best alternative.
Okay, now, Chijuke, we should be tightening our seatbelts, is what you are practically trying to say, right?
Not really, not really. That's
Okay.
the good news is natural gas today is about 80% cheaper than diesel, right?
Okay.
So diesel costs 900 naira a liter. You can buy natural gas at 110 naira a liter in Benin now to fuel your vehicle, right? In addition to being substantially cheaper than diesel, because natural gas runs cleaner than diesel and petrol, you don't have to change your oil as frequently as you would if your car is running on diesel and petrol. So additional savings will be accrued to the consumer by switching to natural gas. And the best part of this is natural gas is 100% domestic. So for example, there are 6.7 million commercial vehicles in Nigeria, according to the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
So if you were to convert 1 million of those vehicles that consume, let's say, 15 liters.
I know you have a whole lot to tell us about this, because it is your field. You are an oil and gas expert, so what do we expect?
Right.
Well, we're running out of time. Well, thank you so much for coming on News Extra.
My pleasure.
Chijuke Amonu there.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us.
Thanks
so
for having
we're
me.
looking forward to that then.
Sure.
All right. Thank you. Let's head to Kano now. Water, we are told, is life. Well, we cannot argue that if science says it is made up of oxygen and carbon dioxide. The important needs of water in our lives is also not arguable. No wonder, through various intervention initiatives in the last 8 years, the federal government assisted states and local councils in addressing numerous development challenges. In addition to bailouts in the early days of the administration, a number of road and water projects have been executed across the nation's 36 states. Abdullahi Mustafa in this report takes us to some remote communities in Kano State, where the federal government is lifting them out of more than 5 decades of acute shortage of potable water.
Driving on this rough and sandy pathway, gives one a feeling of being on a safari trip. The route is actually not leading to any game reserve, but some remote communities in Kunchi local government area of Kano State. Communities that have minimal or no access to basic amenities, including potable drinking water.
This place I'm standing used to be a community called Agalawa. Due to water scarcity, they have to leave this area and migrate to a community behind this hill where there is a seasonal stream. This well was the only source of water, as the locals say, and it dried in the early 1980s, prompting the entire community to relocate.
We made our way to the new settlement where on arrival we are told that the relocation 43 years ago only minimized the problem.
But have to walk to nearby settlements. Scarcity of potable drinking water is serious here.
The source of water is about 2 kilometers away and could not be accessed by our motor vehicle. On motorcycles, we arrived at another point where trekking is the last option, despite the sunny day and Ramadan fast. After 30 minutes of difficult walk in the hot suns, we arrived at the open well, which serves 7 communities.
I just fetched water after 4 hours here. Now it will take me 1.5 hours to get home. We have no time for other economic activities, and our children cannot go to school.
In Kuku, a nearby settlement, relief seems underway as the senator representing Kano North, Barrow Jibril, facilitated the rehabilitation by the federal government of the few non-functional hand pumps provided many years ago. This is in addition to a solar-powered borehole to ease the suffering of locals.
Thanks and God bless. We wish our senator all the best for facilitating this intervention. May Allah reward him. We are very grateful.
While the first ever road project is about to commence, Malam Usman wants Kano State and Kunchi local governments to bring a lasting solution to their suffering through the provision of pipe-borne water so that children could have the time to go to school and parents to engage in off-farm income-generating activities. This and provision of other basic amenities are their hopes as a new administration comes in May 29. In Kano, Abdullahi Mustafa, NTA News.
To the residents of Maiduguri, the Borno State capital, especially motorists and pedestrians that for one reason or the other have to ply the busy Maiduguri-Kano road in the metropolis. The decision of the Borno State government to construct a second flyover bridge on the road did not come as a surprise. This is due to the daily unpleasant experiences they endure anytime they have reason to be on the road. Zainab Adam takes the story from here.
What you usually see for most part of the day at the Maiduguri-Kano Road by Borno Express Junction, one of the major roads and main entry points into the state capital, connecting commuters to their various destinations.
The ever-busy Maiduguri-Kano Road is home to so many institutions that flanked it both sides, notably Ramat Polytechnic, Borno State University, Government College Maiduguri, 1000, 707 and Legacy Housing Estates, the Bulunkutu GSM Market, Federal Secretariat and Borno Express Transport Company, to mention but a few, explaining the ever-busy nature of the route even on weekends. The result is usually a chaotic environment, with motorists trying to outwit each other to make it to their destination, leaving behind some nasty consequences. How problematic is the road for motorists and others alike?
The traffic congestion disturbs us here.
We experience difficulty and delay in conveying our children to school, and their teachers complain about their lateness caused by the traffic congestion, while people going to work also used to complain about the traffic congestion.
They speak on the positive impact the flyover will have in addressing the traffic jam with its attendant consequences.
Now that the state government has intervened, there will be no traffic congestion again.
The recent groundbreaking for the construction of the flyover to cost more than 5 billion naira by Governor Zulum, second in the state, is considered by key stakeholders as the game changer in solving the nagging traffic issue in the state capital.
And even now, we have even started assessing the possibility of relocation. Definitely, it will not be just like that. We will compensate whoever is affected. And so I want to call upon them to please cooperate with us, bear with us, because definitely when we are going to do a project like this, it has been pointed out that traffic might be, in the interim, will be obstructed. So that at the end of the day, it's for the benefit of the whole people of Borno State.
In Maiduguri, Zainab Adam, NTA News.
Let's take our first break. When we return, supplementary elections and the efforts by the umpire to stay ahead of the game. Plus, Ekiti State University students and the face-off with the varsity's leadership. Welcome back. The Independent National Electoral Commission in Adamawa State has restated its commitment to conducting a credible supplementary governorship election scheduled to hold on the 15th of April 2023 in the state. The resident electoral commissioner in Adamawa State, Hudu Yunus Saari, stated this during a stakeholders meeting in Yola. Yusuf Jika was there.
The governorship election in Adamawa State held on 18 March was declared inconclusive due to the margin of lead of 31,249 votes between the incumbent Governor Amadou Marufentri of the PDP and the APC governorship candidate Senator Aishatu Ahiru Ahmed Pinani. Ahead of the supplementary elections, including 4 State House of Assembly constituencies, INEC in the state organized a stakeholders meeting to fine-tune ways of ensuring a peaceful and successful supplementary elections. The resident electoral commissioner Adamawa State, Barrister Hudu Yunusari, said all necessary arrangements have been concluded to conduct the election in 69 polling units across 20 local government areas of the state. He therefore called on the leadership of the political parties to ensure that only one agent accredited by the Commission appears at polling units and collation centers during the election and promised to conduct the exercise with all sense of responsibility.
It's going to be credible. I want to again restate that INE has no candidates of all the candidates from the governorship to the state constituencies. We are going to be very fair to everybody.
There were contributions from the participants during the meeting.
There's going to be a restriction of movement, especially in the areas where polling units are located.
In Yola, Yusuf Jika, NTA News.
Bayelsa State Governor Senator Doe Diri has emerged winner of the People's Democratic Party PDP governorship primary. Governor Diri, who was the sole aspirant, polled a total of 305 out of 313 total votes. Fred Oweife reports.
The Bayelsa State Delegates Congress of the People's Democratic Party gubernatorial primaries was witnessed by observers, the electoral panel members, INEC officials and other participants. 315 delegates from the 8 local government areas of the state were accredited, out of which 4 votes were invalid while 4 ballots were not cast. Declaring the results, Governor of Osun State, Senator Ademola Adeleke, who was also the chairman of the electoral panel, commended delegates for their peaceful conduct during the voting process.
As the Chief Returning Officer, I hereby declare Senator Doe Diri as the winner of the election.
In his acceptance speech, Senator Diri appreciated party faithful and delegates for giving him the mandate. He called for unity of purpose ahead of the November 11 governorship election, as the state will witness rapid development if voted for a second tenure.
And the best you have to do is continuity, and we are sure that you will see a more efficient and more prepared deliverance of development in our state.
Some observers and delegates described the primaries as one of the best in the history of the state. Fred Oweife, NTA News.
Every parent or guardian wants to see his or her ward in school. So it is usually worrisome when, for whatever reason, schools are not in session where they ought to be. Parents of students of Ekiti State University in Ado-Ekiti are now living in anxiety as the school has suspended all academic activities for 2 weeks following protests by students over school fees increment. Olukemi Sani has the report.
The students who were carrying placards with different inscriptions are calling for reversal of the school fees, reopening of the portal without paying for late registration, as well as adequate funding and maintenance of the school.
We are protesting against extortion. 5K late payment registration fee. We don't want it again. School fees is increased by 100,000%. 100%. We don't want it. I was paying 134 before. Yes, now I am paying 255.
Giving us this issue for a very long time. We've pleaded with the school to do something about it. Well, according to what we are seeing as a student, it's like the school are not ready to do anything. They are not ready.
The state governor is aware of our agitations already. The national is aware of our agitations already. And all we are saying is that this is Ekiti State University. We are paying much already. We have departments that are paying as much as 300,000. We have departments that are paying as much as 700,000. Why do we need to pay late registration again?
Motorists rushing to resume work were held up in the traffic gridlock caused by the protesting students. Security agents were seen at strategic places along Iworoko Road to forestall any possible breakdown of law and order. Meanwhile, the institution, in a statement, directed suspension of academic activities, while all students are to vacate the campus with effect from Tuesday, April 11, 2023. In Ado-Ekiti, Olukemi Sani, NTA News.
In the meantime, the prime suspect in the death of the final year student of Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Okoli Aishe, who was beaten to death over alleged theft, has been handed over to the Osun State Police Command by the University Authority. Rotimi Akamu was at the university campus and files in this report.
The age-long ambition of Okoli Aishe, a final year student of Obafemi Awolowo University Ile-Ife, to become a civil engineer was dashed when he was allegedly beaten to death by a mob on the campus over alleged stealing of a mobile phone.
Up to now, we can't get the owner of the phone. The phone he was accused of, we can't see the phone. No one could give us an answer to what is going on at the moment.
Occurrence is very pathetic. We are not happy about it. That's not how it is done. Normally, if a student is caught like that, there is always a tradition that we used to go by into disciplining the students.
The public relations officer of the university, Abiodun Olarewaju, who spoke on behalf of the school authority, condemned what he described as jungle justice.
The Vice Chancellor is particularly saddened because we are not expecting that our students will, go to that level to discipline one of their own, so to say. But all we can say that because of the action of the students, which goes contrary to the constitution of the law of Nigeria and the rules and regulations of our university here, we have decided to hand the suspects, the prime suspect, to the Nigerian Police, Osun State Command.
He confirmed that the university has set up a committee to unravel the circumstances that led to the killing of Okoli Aishe. Meanwhile, students of the Department of Civil Engineering, where the deceased was a student, have boycotted lectures in protest against the killing of their colleague. From Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Rotimi Akamu, NTA News.
Away from that now, the National Population Commission has postponed the local government areas LGA level training of supervisors and enumerators for the 2023 census, earlier scheduled to commence Thursday, 13th of April 2023. A statement by the Commission's Director of Public Affairs, Dr. Isiaka Yahya, emphasizes that the postponement is as a result of emerging issues, with a pledge that a new date will be communicated to the public in due course. This statement further states that the National Population Commission is fully prepared and committed to conducting a credible and acceptable 2023 population and housing census. And as Nigeria prepares for the 2023 National Population and Housing Census, stakeholders are advocating a national headcount that will meet people's expectations and acceptability. Abiola Ario, this report takes a look at the benefits of the first digital census to the nation's socio-economic planning and development.
Developed in developing countries of the world, collation of data through population census remains a veritable tool for proper planning for growth and development. Population census as a process involves collecting, compiling, analyzing, and publishing information about members of a given demographic area, and it is equally helpful in determining the number of people living in the country and the structure of the society. Equally, housing and population census helped in forecasting possible economic needs of a country, ranging from electricity, housing, and other social infrastructure.
Census is an activity that is supposed to be coming up regularly. Ordinarily, if the resources were to be there, maybe five years, was recommended by United Nations. But we can't have it for 5 years because of the cost. Then 10 years. But of course, it has not been regular in Nigeria. We had the last one in 2006. And of course, 2006 to 2016, that is 10 years. 2016 to 2023 now, we are talking about 7 or 8 years. So running to about more than 15 years, we don't had. So even the growth rate that was estimated at that last census is no longer valid.
These, among factors, could be attributed to the forthcoming population census in the country, which the state's director, National Population Commission, says no meaningful development planning activity can be conducted without taking into account population census data. Hence, the 2023 population census.
After the census, we'll know the number of males, we'll know the number of females, the children, the adults, the employed, the unemployed, the dependents. Census gives us complete information. So with this, any government will be able to plan.
Although people are still skeptical about the census, they are not oblivious of the importance of the exercise.
So with census, the government of any entity will know the number of people to plan for, to take care of.
With the perception of some members of the public to population census, the involvement of key players in this regard cannot be glossed over.
We've done advocacy visit to many places, to urbans, to opinion holders, to market, to men, youth, all relevant stakeholders. We've reached out to them, which engaged them to know the benefits of census and for them to key in and support the process.
Everybody should stay where they live. They should be counted where they live. There's no need for anybody traveling to reach our village.
As the nation prepares for a digital national head count, citizens are challenged to embrace the forthcoming exercise scheduled for May 2nd to May 7th, 2023. In Akure, Abiola Ario, NTA News.
Let's take a breather. In the next segment, the world lowers its window to take a better look at the street child. And will the IMF spring meeting spring any surprises? Find out in a moment. Great to have you back. We earlier told you that we'll keep you informed on the Banana Island building collapse. So we have a new information that just came in, which says a National Emergency Management Agency confirms that no one is trapped in the rubbles at the scene of the collapsed building at Banana Island, Ikoyi. NEMA says it is one of the highly restricted areas in Lagos. To get a meal a day is a luxury. To even find a place to lay their heads sometimes can be frustrating. The picture of their survival is best imagined than experienced. Street children live among us, but the only difference is that they are not privileged to have a better life. Today, Nigeria marks its maiden edition of the International Day for Street Children, which is celebrated globally. To reflect on the essence of the celebration, a solidarity walk was organized by the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development in collaboration with Young Ambassadors Against Drug Abuse Initiative to raise awareness for the protection of the rights of the street children. Ruth Agwele was there.
I started begging because there was no shelter for me, and my mom was unable because she's not an educated woman. Because as a female child, we almost got trapped. Because to just help your family to get what you want, you can do anything. As a female
Aliya
child,
Mohammed sharing her story about her traumatic experience as a street child. Aliya is one out of many who daily go through one form of unimaginable hardship or the other on the street as a result of stark circumstances. In recognition of humanity, dignity, and defiance of street-connected children, the world today marks the International Street Children's Day. As a maiden edition in Nigeria, no better place to walk the talk than the streets where these children have lived and survived daily. The Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, in partnership with a non-governmental organization, is raising the bar by taking practical steps to take these children off the streets. For the children who have been lucky to have a new normal, like Aliya, the outcry for them is to renew hope for the lost sheep.
It's a shame seeing my fellow street children don't go into school or don't have clothes to wear. I don't like it. I need the ones standing representing the president, all those, to help our street children so that they can eat at least 2 times a day.
Building free schools so that they can be able to learn, and they also should be given equal rights as other kids out there.
We have the alternate school program, which is already we're about taking off, and this is particularly taking care of the street children. And not only street children, we still have like Admajiris, we still have out of school children, we still have other children that somewhere, somehow on their own. This is to bring them, include them in whatever we are doing.
So we want that change, and then we want Nigeria to have at least a data of how many children do we actually have. If you have a number, then we know where to start from.
The advocacy is to realign the future of this vulnerable group and change their bleakness to a prosperous future, no matter who they are and where they live. In Abuja, Ruth Agwele, NT News.
Thank you so much, Ruth. In line with the federal government's policy of cashless economy, the Road Transport Employers Association of Nigeria has launched a mobile banking transaction app tagged CarryGo for effective and efficient payment of transport fares across all the association parks in the country. Correspondent Omen Kamara Chukwu reports that the association's Deputy National President Administration, Abubakar Bishara, led stakeholders in launching the app at the Sheikh Musa Adwa Center in Abuja.
That was the official commissioning of the CarryGo mobile banking transaction application by the Road Transport Employers Association of Nigeria. Written, the aim is to integrate with the federal government's cashless policy and as well reduce the difficulty passengers go through in paying their transportation fares across the country in line with international best practices.
This program during implementation will put on check issues for insecurity, has all information about the traveler, final destination will have been collected from the electronic or digital manifest generated in the course of processing the payment for the journey.
We are introducing this application to help and better the operation of your organization, which is very, 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 very good. And this will also rub on safety on our highways.
This initiative would reduce cash transactions in transport operations in order to protect investment and also improve public security.
We all know what we all experienced a few months ago, or a few weeks ago, when some people couldn't even have money to attend to their basic needs. If we had launched this product by then, I'm sure most of us would have had it seamless.
The transaction through the Carigo app can be done in USSD/QR code or ATM cards with a special configuration that works even where there is no network. In Abuja, Umenka Marchuku, NTA News.
Let's head to Washington now. As Nigeria and other emerging economies struggle with high debts as well as high interest rates, the International Monetary Fund anticipates global fiscal levels to start going back up with expected financial stability and a reduction in debts. Vulnerabilities for many countries. Moplan Dakok in Washington, D.C. reports on the Fiscal Monetary Report of the IMF and Nigeria's please.
It is a trying time for most emerging economies caused by slow growth, debt concerns, and geopolitical tensions. The IMF predicts that going by present realities, global debt to GDP ratio could rise to 100% by 2028, and developing economies like Nigeria and Ghana are expected to suffer the most because of lack of buffers. It is time policymakers reflect on how to improve rule-based fiscal frameworks, which should be designed with the right balance between having enough flexibility to adjust to shocks and being credible.
Is fully reasonable as a way to managing public finance risks from a medium-term perspective.
The fund also recommends that low-income countries increase revenue in order to restore fiscal sustainability and help achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. From Washington, D.C., Moplan Dakok, NTA News.
Well, thank you so much, Moplan. Back home here, it's time for us to join Musa Abokar on Business News. Musa, it's over to you.
Thank you, Fatima. Overlapping crises from COVID-19 and debt to climate change and conflict are challenging many governments to operate differently, prioritizing the delivery of essential public goods and services to their people while protecting the most vulnerable. This dominate discussions at a panel session on governing effectively during challenges. This is at the sidelines of the ongoing International Monetary Fund and World Bank Group spring meetings.
We have to work together, we have to share information, and we have to be open. Citizens need to trust authorities and governments. Because they turn to authorities and governments for service delivery. And they turn to authorities and governments for equitable treatment, equity in the service delivery. So building this trust is very important. That comes from a number of different means. Of course, straight communication and transparency by decision makers, by policy makers, by accountable authorities.
One of the things we've learned and one of the things that has informed our work from very early on is that development is not something we can give. Development is something people must take. So when I say that, what I mean is a lot of our work has been to try to move people from the sense that the poor and the marginalized are passive recipients of aid and move them to becoming active participants in their own development. That is a very fundamental thing that BRAC has been doing for the last 50 years. So catalyze people's belief in their own ability to change their lives, because we believe that even the poorest person has inherent potential.
And after energy oil prices rose 2% on Wednesday as cooling U.S. inflation data spurred hopes that the Federal Reserve is getting closer to ending its cycle of interest rate hikes and cushion the impact of a small build in U.S. crude oil stocks. Brent crude gained 2.1% to $87.40 a barrel by 1 p.m. Eastern Time, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude rose 2.3% to $83.43. Prices had risen about 2% on Tuesday. At other stock, the equities market closed midweek session negative. The all-share index declined to 51,953.41 points as equity capitalization fell to 28.3 trillion naira. A total of 255 million securities valued at 1.7 billion naira were traded in 3,890 deals. Transcorp, Fidelity and UBA were the most traded stocks in terms of volume at the end of the session. Well, that's it. News Extra continues after the break.
You're still on to News Extra on the NTA. Rain comes when it comes, early or late. For farmers, it is a big deal the time rain comes, for it can make or mar their harvest. At the moment, farmers and stakeholders in agriculture are expressing mixed reactions to the early rains in some parts of the country, as earlier predicted by NIMET. Rosemary Molteleng Bilal examines the impact of early rainfall on agriculture produce.
Preparations for the farming season result in good cultivation, planting and bumper harvest at the end of the day. Weather predictions and early warning signals by Nigerian Meteorological Agency has been the required guideline for this year's farming season.
As you know, agricultural production requires adequate planning and management. By planning, meaning that you have to take right decisions at the right time. Right decision on when to plant, when to apply inputs, and then when to carry out day-to-day management activities on the farmland. So a number of these activities, they depend on climate because we don't just carry them out anyhow and anytime.
Some citizens are, however, expressing fears of possible early season of rains and poor harvest. Over time, this phenomenon has never been good for planting as it seizes suddenly and destroys all crops in the soil that were planted earlier.
From the news, we heard that there's going to be much rain this year. So with the news, definitely we need to change to adapt to what we hear in order to not to affect our farming season.
The area that it has been affected by the climate change, I will shift from that area to another site so that I can get a good harvest.
FCT Emergency Management Agency affirms that except farmers plant carefully and smart, the harvest in the 2023 farming season could be adversely affected.
Each crop has its own number of incubation days. So if you plant a crop that is going to have a shorter rainfall, that is going to give you a very bad yield. And if you plant a crop that is expected to have shorter rainfall and you put it for a longer rainfall, then also it's going to be affected. So this is the system that the method that the farmers should follow.
Many emphasize that the prediction would help farmers, particularly those who plant tuber crops like cassava, yam, cocoyam and potatoes. Rosemary Molteleng Bilal, NTA News.
Wheat farming is rapidly gaining ground in Gombe State as more farmers find wheat production lucrative following persistent federal government interventions. This became clear at the Wheat Farmers Brownfield Day at Gafchiari village in Dukku local government area of the state. Zara Umar Adamu has that.
Nigeria is energizing efforts of stakeholders to increase investment in wheat farming by involving private sector investment and ultimately achieving national wheat self-sufficiency. To strengthen local wheat production through creation of community value chain, entrepreneurs, development partners, and other stakeholders in Gombe State engage hundreds of farmers to boost wheat production.
Before then, the wheat production in Gombe State has been on a decline. More so because people don't even get good seeds, and even if they farm them, why do they even sell their proceeds?
So we have community seed production. We also have a demonstration of the good agronomic practices for wheat production. So this is basically what we are doing.
They have worked with 30 farmers and we have seen what they have produced. We hope that more of our people will benefit from this one so that it will reduce the poverty level and also it will afford farmers to feed Nigerian population.
The farmers are appreciative of the opportunity, assuring their commitment as they are sure of market linkages, input supplies, and offtake. Processing the wheat is our biggest challenge. We will be glad if we can get assistance in that regard. For the wheat production, we are just starting. Nigeria produces less than 5% of its wheat requirement and spends over $2 billion yearly importing the product. Zara Umar Adamu, NTA News.
It is in season and accessible in retail for all. The brown, rounded fruit, otherwise known as African cherry or star apple, is sweet, and its fleshy pulp can be eaten as a snack to add to the balanced diet of individuals. In this report, Ifeoma Okafor finds out various reasons why the fruit called African cherry, agbalumo in Yoruba, udara in Igbo, and agwaluma in Hausa, is distinct as an excellent source of essential vitamins and rich in fiber.
African cherry or star apple, a native fruit, grows in tropical African countries like Nigeria. With botanical name of Chrysophyllum albidum, the fruit is blessed with unique flavor that makes it distinct from other fruits around. She don't agree.
We are here in a New Benin market to find out the health benefits of this udara, otien, agbalomo, and every other thing that you need to know about this rare fruit. So come with me.
Some people come to buy it, they say because of ulcer. So when they eat it, the ulcer will go down. Both men, both children, everybody buy it.
And it's very, very nice. I like buying them.
Eating the milky, juicy star apple, agbalomo or udara, when squeezed or sucked, provides the body with nutrients and antioxidants capable of boosting overall health, as affirmed by Dr. David Iyamu.
The fruit is specialized. So if it takes that, it will benefit everyone taking it on consistent basis to increase your immune status.
Many also hold the view that women tend to like eating star apple than men.
Mostly women like it often more than men anyway.
People like say men don't they like and pass women no.
Daily intake of this African star apple, as it contains 3 grams of fiber, which keeps the people from eating too much, has been recommended, as it also helps in losing weight.
Please don't use the one that is being so fertilized to produce. Do what they call organic. The fertilizer in food, they may be genetically affecting the genetics of those using them.
In Benin, Ifeoma Okafor, NTA News.
Oh, thank you so much, Ifeoma, for that. That is quite educative. Well, women love it, men love it, any which way in our local parlance. Udara is a sweet fruit. It's one of my favorites, actually. Well, in the concluding segments of the news, we have the latest from the world of sports and a helping hand to relatives of fallen heroes to stay for the home run. Thanks so much for staying. The Nigerian media's position as an influencer of public opinion cannot be overemphasized owing to its ability to set agenda for national discourse and capacity to push narratives that can engender peaceful coexistence. With its level of importance, it therefore behoves on journalists to be circumspect in the issues they disseminate for public consumption. This sums up the parley between the National Orientation Agency and media outfits in Lagos State. Larry Belay has the report.
Of the various political parties to allow the legal processes to run their full course.
The engagement, led by the Director General of the agency, Mr. Garba Abari, touched on the roles the media must play in reining in wild notions, especially those emanating from the just concluded general elections.
So many national and international naysayers had already started putting in place a national obituary for the Nigerian nation state. Some already calling the 2023 elections an election that will mark the country. Nigerians, proved such naysayers wrong.
The head of the nation's orientation agency urged the media to be mindful of the narrative being pursued and stick with ideals that will promote peace, unity, and stability of the nation. Covering the hate speech on social media, ethnocentrism on the broadcasting stations, unrestrained political utterances, and inciting write-ups were discussed in an interactive session. The National Orientation Agency called on the media not to engage in magnifying narratives that will divide the nation, but the ones that will build bridges across the different divides. This type of engagement, the head of the agency promised to take to the doorsteps of traditional groups and rulers. The theme of the discussion is Nigeria First. In Lagos, Larry Beleyi, NTA News.
To sports news now. Teenage cricketers in Abuja to begin quests for national and international recognitions. Ayodeji Makinde is our guide on sports update.
Nigeria Cricket Federation is set to host its National Under-17 Championship finals at the Moshood Abiola National Stadium Oval in Abuja, with 6 of the best teams from geopolitical zones of the country in contests. The championship, which holds from 12th to the 16th of April, is in line with cricket development at the grassroots and talent discovery for Nigeria.
The umpires that are invited to officiate in this tournament are also developing umpires, upcoming umpires that one day will be recognized worldwide.
The 19 team will be preparing to seek qualification in the World Cup, and this event taking place at this time is a noble pathway for us to achieving a formidable team that can conquer Africa.
In tennis, Daniil Medvedev is through to the round of 16 at the Monte Carlo Masters after straight set 6-3, 6-2 victory over Lorenzo Sonego on a day when former world number 3 Stan Wawrinka was knocked out 7-6, 6-2 by Taylor Fritz in the round of 32. In another development from Indonesia, 2 football teams played for the first time in 6 months after 135 people died in a crash following a match between Arema FC and Persebaya Surabaya at Arema's Kanjuruhan Stadium. The match, played without spectators at the National Police Park, ended 1-0 in favor of Arema. With sports updates, Ayodeji Makinde, NTA News.
Away from sports update now, the Inspector General of Police, Usman Alkali Baba, is not oblivious of the plight of families of personnel who paid the supreme price while on active duty. This was evident at the presentation of checks to 78 families of foreign heroes in Lagos. Len Leneke reports that the Commissioner, Lagos State Command, handed over the checks to the beneficiaries.
These personnel have over time ensured that lives and property of the citizenry are protected across the country. With the highest number of police personnel population in the force, saddled with the responsibility of dealing with complex crimes in Lagos and beyond, some of these personnel have paid the supreme price, while others are bearing various degrees of injuries sustained in the discharge of their constitutional role. These sacrifices have not gone unnoticed. 78 checks to the tune of 28 million naira were presented to families and next of kin to deceased police officers.
It will help my children in school. And the place you are living, at least you can put some things in order.
Commitment as a critical component of the police was also appreciated as 36 senior officers were decorated.
Welfare and promotion scheme represents a critical component of the agenda and the leadership vision of the Inspector General of Police. He has been consistent in ensuring that officers are put forward for promotion as at when due.
This will make us to redouble our efforts, that citizens will be able to close their 2 eyes and sleep.
Meanwhile, the Lagos Commissioner of Police also assured residents of Isheri community where disputes erupted of their safety. In Lagos, Len Leneke, NTA News.
The death has been announced of Mrs. Pauline Eke Itatu. She was aged 65. First week, 19th of April 2023, behind Civil Service Commission close to St. Paul's Catholic Church, Makudi. Second week, 20th of April 2023, at Itatu's compound, Alumokpoma, Oju, local government area, Benue State. Burial is on the 21st of April 2023 at the same venue. Meanwhile, the Adedoyin family announces the passing of their father, Samuel Kunle Adedoyin. Service of songs holds on the 17th of April at AES Luxury Apartments Event Hall, opposite Sitec Estate, Abuja. Time 5 p.m. Wake 20th of April 2023 at SK Adedoyin Residence, Ayetoru, Bede, Kogi State. Time 5 p.m. Funeral service Friday 21st of April 2023 at St. Peter's Anglican Church, Ayetoru, Bede, Kogi State. Time 10 a.m. Reception will take place at Government Girls Secondary School, Ayetoru, Bede, Kogi State. And with that, we end News Extra for tonight. But before we go, remember that National Population Census is 21 days to go. You count, be counted. I am Fatima Omaruba. Have a blessed night.